All right, it looks like it's live. So let me see here. Just taking a look at OBS real quick. So OBS says that it's happy, and let's just change those screens back over to the YouTube screen. So two concurrent viewers. Good morning and welcome. So just getting set up, and yeah, 10:40 a.m. Really odd time to do this, but I just got back from being out in the field for a little bit. And I got the crazy idea of, hey, let's do a take your subscribers to work day. So I don't have a daughter or a son, so I don't have a take your kids to work day. So I thought this would be a little fun. So here's what we were up to this morning. We got up really early and we headed over into the Granite Dells because I needed to do one more video for my new class that's coming out soon on Ground Station Pro, and I wanted to get a flight in a really unique area like the Granite Dells. So this morning looked pretty good weather-wise, and I figured let's get out there earlier rather than later because it's going to be another hot day, and the potential for monsoons is starting to get there. So real exciting stuff. I love monsoon season. Fantastic sky photography. So this morning we headed out into the Granite Dells. Jody was along with me, so she does the visual observation with me, and it also helps me get some of this stuff out. And so before we talk about the flights or anything and all the things that we did, you got to bring a good bit of gear along with you when you're putting together these videos. So I had several items with me. We had the iPhone, so I'm just grabbing things. So the iPhone came along for today, and I used that for actually doing video and audio recording of myself for the voiceover in my classes. I also brought the iPad Mini 4 because we're using that for Ground Station Pro for the class, because Ground Station Pro only works on iPads. Weirdest thing in the world, but that was their decision. Along with that, we had the Joby Gorilla Pod. No, I'm not selling these things. These are just the items that I bring along. For doing the audio onto the iPhone, we've got the Rode Wireless Go system, which works really well out in the wild. Let me see. 1941 where you are. Well, it's 10:42 a.m. here, so welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping in. Along with that, I decided, just in case we were next to one of our client locations and we've been wanting to do some new 360s for them. So the Canon 7D with an 8mm fisheye lens came along, and another one of my tripods with a Nodal Ninja 6. And in fact, we did do some 360s. So we'll see where we get to in this live stream. I don't want to keep you guys all day because I've offloaded some things. I'm getting some things ready, and then I'll be settling down this afternoon to doing a lot of the work from all of the material that we generated today. And boy, did we generate a lot of material. Also, let's see here. The other things that came along, so number one, this is not cloaking technology. This is a very green bag, but it does look a little transparent, doesn't it? What's interesting to me is this Tilly hat of mine here is also, it's green, but for some reason, it seems to be okay on the green screen and it's not getting all washed out. I played with the green screen a little bit before setting up this stream. So here we go. I'm pulling that one back up again. So our first order of business this morning, we headed out bright and early. We took a walk into the Granite Dells, and I had prepped a flight mission in Ground Station Pro, and you're going to see that in a few minutes. I had prepped a flight path in Ground Station Pro for doing a 3D model in the Granite Dells, because the Dells have canyons and they have cliffs, and talk about an interesting and unique place to do some 3D modeling, especially for the class. So we got ourselves out there, we got set up, and one of the first things I did is I actually set up my video and audio recording for the voiceover of the tutorial. So that's where the iPhone 8 Plus came in, and we're gonna go ahead and minimize this little take your subscribers to work day. So this is the stuff that I normally do when I get back in from the field. I start offloading things. I offload the drone, I offload the iPad or the Android or the iPhone, and then you get everything organized. So number one here, I am actually looking at my iPhone, and we're gonna we're going to go ahead and share that screen with you. So that should be popping up in just a moment. I'm waiting for the code 4793. 4793. Say okay to it. And screen mirroring is on the iPhone. So the iPhone was set up with the Joby GorillaPod, and it was sitting in the rocks. And I was using Filmic Pro to film myself as I'm setting things up and then doing the voiceover. So the first thing we want to do is go to, nope, not my games. And yes, I have games on my iPhone. Don't we all? I'm going to hit Filmic Pro. So this is a great iPhone recording program. I really like this app a lot. We're going to go into the play menu. So on screen here, you see the DH flight, and I am going to tap on that. And now,
hey everybody, I'm just getting everything set up here.
Now let's see. Sorry about that extra background audio there. That was me talking to the setup. So normally when I get back from the field, first thing, hey, how you doing, Ray? Digging the hat. I've had this Tilly hat and one other Tilly hat for years since I moved out to Arizona, 2007. You got to have these during the summer, you know, for looking at your screens, for looking at your camera. It is so blue and bright here so often. The first year, when I first moved here in 2007, I got here in March, and by July, I was actually sick of the blue skies. I said, where's the clouds? Do you ever get any rain here at all? And then I learned about monsoon season in July, and was glad to see, really glad to see some of the major downpours and the gorgeous, gorgeous skies here at night. So yeah, we've got this up on screen here. So there's the Filmic Pro thing. I could hit the play on it again. Hopefully it's not playing through in the background because it's me talking through to myself about the setup, what things I still need to do, making sure that all my recording equipment's recording. So the iPhone's recording. I'm setting up the iPad for recording. The iPad is also going to be assisting with the control of the drone. And I'm screen recording on the iPad so that students can see what's going on. So there's a lot of things in motion when you do these. But so now that I'm back at the office, what I do on Filmic Pro, there is an export option, and I am going to send that to my iMac. So right now we're sitting here and we're being super patient, people, because it's going to take a moment. And I've got a couple of other folders open. So right now in my downloads folder, so I just pulled the downloads folder over, you'll see that this DH flight 1A_4 is actually transferring something over. So I'm copying from the iPhone right now. And once I'm done copying from the iPhone, I'm going to put it into my class folders for the particular class segment that I want to use. When I'm done offloading this one, I've also got to offload the iPad as well. So when I'm out in the field, normally I'm recording or shooting with the drone. I'm recording with either one of my little mirrorless cameras, so recording myself doing the talk through, recording from a device like another iPhone or the iPad. So it's always really useful to have a second set of hands with you to make sure everything's recording. I did have a moment months ago doing another class where I forgot to hit recording on one of the devices, completely threw everything off. So I had 3 different audio recordings going on, and the one that I really wanted was the one that I didn't hit. So so that was super unfortunate. All right, so the DH flight has now finished copying over, and I'm just sliding a second screen over. I'm working off of 2 windows. You don't see the second window. I think that would get confusing and kind of crazy. So I have a tutorial number 4-3D modeling, and that's actually broken into a couple of parts. I'm going to drag this one on over, so that's coming from the iPhone. And then I'm going to give myself a couple of clues to this after. I also use Kino for managing these, but I'm not at that point yet. I go back through and I use Kino afterward. Most likely we won't see Kino today in this video, but if you're interested in it, I've done a couple of videos on it on YouTube, some introduction stuff. But if you want to learn more about Kino for managing your videos and images, Kino is awesome. So let's see, today, there we go. So I've got that DH flight loaded, but we're going to call this tutorial 4-3- Filmic. So now I know when I'll be using that one, putting that together with other audio files. So when I'm doing all these recordings, I have to sync the audio files after. So I'll have several layers of video when I open up Final Cut Pro. And I actually have to go through and sync those. So there we go. We're all set with the iPhone now. So I've offloaded the iPhone. And now let's go ahead and minimize that. And I'm going to get out of there. And I'm actually going to get out of Filmic Pro. So at this point, everything that I need the iPhone 8 for is all set. It's done. So we're going to stop screen mirroring that. And let's go ahead and stop mirroring. So it doesn't have to be iPhones and iPads. Like I said, you can, you know, if you're recording yourself, some of the new mirrorless cameras are absolutely amazing. I've got one of the really old Sonys and it still does a good job, but it overheats at about 8 minutes. So it's not reliable when I'm in the field because the darn thing will turn itself off in the middle of a recording. And as regular subscribers here know, I'm good at talking. So I know sometimes I chatter away too much, but when you get on screen and you've only got 8 minutes to get it right, that's why I've stopped bringing the Sony into the field. So the second item now, we've got the iPad Mini 4, and I got to do a similar thing here. So we're going to do the same thing so that you can see this, and we're going to do screen mirroring, and I'm going to tap Richard's iMac, and another code comes up, 8706. And we've got the mirroring going. So there we go. There's the iPad. The screen looks a little small. The iPad, its dimensions are not 1920 by 1080, so it's not, that doesn't take a full HD screen, unfortunately. So now that I'm on the iPad, we're going to do a similar thing here. And we're popping into My Albums. And there is the video that I recorded this morning. And now it's popped it up on screen for you. So it's just starting to go through. This is me going through my setup, making sure the recording's set there. And we're going to go ahead and pause this for a moment. So what you're looking at on screen is actually a capture of my iPad Mini 4 running Ground Station Pro. So it doesn't take the whole screen. You know, I could drag this out here for you. But so this will be getting added to my class. And so what I flew today was Granite Dells 3D and copy of Granite Dells 3D. So one of the missions is a north to south flight pattern. The other mission is an east to west. And if you want to see all the outcome of this and stuff, I'll be announcing on channel in the near future when the new Ground Station Pro class is available. And so it got submitted to Udemy yesterday. I do have 2 videos to add to it. That's why I went out and flew those today. So working around the weather, always working around the weather. And if you see me looking over to the side, you know, I'm just checking to see other comments from folks on channel. So, all right, what do I need to do? I need to do the same thing that I did with Filmic Pro, which is share that. And so I am going to send that to my iMac as well. So right now, it's sharing to it, and it's going to take a couple of moments. So receiving video from Richard's iPad 2. And yeah, this is a large file, so this is going to take a moment. So this is also part of the job. When you get back, you're going to be offloading a ton of stuff. You know, if you're a regular follower here, I really enjoy doing drone construction progression reporting for clients and time-lapsing. And when I come back from different flights, I will have gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes of data. So the drone I also already offloaded, so I'm not showing you guys that part. You know, took the SD, the micro SD card out, popped it into the computer, and put the images where I needed them. While we're waiting for this thing to complete, let's go back and look at tutorial 4 for the 3D modeling. And I have a folder here. So this is a folder that I offloaded images from this flight. So while we're waiting for this thing to continue, it's about 25% done sending it. So, so it's going to take a moment. But part of today's drone tutorial involved me actually doing a flight with the Mavic 2 Pro and Ground Station Pro. and flying these paths. So like the path that you're seeing right here in that Ground Station Pro window. So flying the path and collecting a lot of images. So in the case of this, I think it was maybe 6 point something acres. It wasn't a huge area, but I decided to go with 75% overlap, and I've got the gimbal tilted at 70 degrees. And so we ended up, between the two flights, we ended up with 288 images. That is a ton of images. And those images later are going to get loaded into Metashape Pro and to do my 2D and 3D models. So that probably won't be on this video either, because that's a time-consuming thing. Running Metashape or Pix4D or any of the other 3D modeling software packages out there, they take some time. So right now, are we still streaming? Because it's spinning a little bit. So let's see, is it complaining or saying that it's bad? I guess not. I guess it's caught back up with me. So just let me know if I glitch out or anything, because sometimes that happens. Like I said, you know, I'm uploading to the computer right now from the Mac Mini, the iPad Mini, excuse me. And so I've got Wi-Fi going this way, Wi-Fi going that way. So if it slows down the overall stream, please let me know in the comments. So we're still waiting on this here. It's almost getting there. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna have a quick sip of water, because we've been out in the hot dry already. Oh, by the way, with my little joke before in my backpack, I do have another one of my Hydro Flasks here. And let's see, I want to pull the screen up too. So we're not playing with cloaking technology around here. It's another green item, but I get a kick out of that. So just gives me a bit of a laugh sometimes. All right, flipping the screens back over, and let's take a look again. So we're almost 3/4 of the way of the iPad sending the video capture over. So we'll just be patient for a moment more. So like I said, when I got back, I offloaded the images from the drone. So those images were being used to create the final model that I'll be doing. And so here you go. This gives you kind of an idea of the location we were flying today. So I had it flying at 175 feet above ground level. And you might see, or you might not, let's zoom in over here. So there is myself and Jody in here. We got the green pack right there. We got the little helipad going on. So so far so good. Sorry I missed the beginning. No problem, Tyler. So I decided today that I was just bringing people along. We just went out and did a job this morning. We went out and flew a modeling area for a Ground Station Pro class that I'm doing. And while we were there, we also did some work for one of our clients. So we did some modeling flight, and then we did some 360s flight, and then we did some 360 terrestrial stuff as well with Canon 7D and a Nodal Ninja bracket for doing 360s. I'm really finding that as I've been doing DSLR 360s, as opposed to something like an Insta360 or a Theta Z1, I'm so amazed by the sharpness of the 360s when using a digital SLR. It's more time consuming, I know. You know, we've got all these great 360 cams that, boom, they just do the job for you. But then sometimes I look at them on a 360 viewer and they're not so darn sharp. All right, now I'm pulling up the screens again, so I'm just moving some screens around. For those of you who aren't Mac folks, OS X folks, this little screen rearrangement thing here, that's just one of the quick keys, helps me bounce between programs really quick. All right, so on my downloads, I've got this new one here, RP Replay, and that is the labeling that when you record something on an iPad, that's the kind of labeling you're gonna get. So now I'm dragging this one over into my tutorial number 4. Like I said before, the tutorials that I've been doing, I had a couple of flights that I didn't get to get done. So today worked out to be a good day for doing those flights. By the way, the iPad went to sleep, so it shut its screen mirroring down, which is absolutely okay. I'm just closing things on the iPad, so excuse me for a moment. Just want to make sure. All right. So at least it didn't crash out beforehand. So we got the copies done. I'm going to close my downloads folder really quick. And so let's take a look in here. You kind of saw a little bit of a start, but first I want to relabel this tutorial 4-3. And this was from the iPad recording. So both of these videos that I made, so the one that I used Filmic Pro for on the iPhone 8 Plus, and the one that I did the iPad running the drone, both of those things will be dropped into Final Cut Pro later. And then I'm gonna have to synchronize them because I started recording with the iPhone first, and then I got the drone set up and I got the iPad set up, and then I started recording. So there's a couple minutes of me talking to myself. And then finally we get into where the tutorial starts. And Final Cut does a great job of syncing clips and actually syncing your audio files so that then you can pick your best audio file. So when I'm in the field and I'm doing recordings, you know, the iPad picks me up okay, but you know, I've got it like here, or I've got it on a stand. So it's also picking up wind and airplane sounds and traffic sounds. That's why I bring the iPhone 8 and I bring the Rode Wireless Go setup. So this sits right here on me, and the receiver's actually connected to my iPhone, and then Filmic gets to record that, so it's much better sounding audio. If I was just out there in the field and just doing a recording with the iPad, let's say, it would pick me up, but it would be really bad audio quality. You wouldn't enjoy it at all. So that's why I'm bringing more than one thing along with me when we're shooting these videos and doing the classes. So I'm just going to open up that Filmic movie really quick. There I am, pushing on my knee there. But so setting down to get things set up. So let me turn that audio off there. So at this point I'm talking to myself and just setting up for the flight, and also talking to Jody about, you know, elevation concerns or anything. We are close to KPRC, which is Ernest Love Field in Prescott, Arizona. And there's a lot of flight schools there. So you got Embry-Riddle University, you've got Guidance Helicopter, you got North Air Aviation. So there's a lot of traffic in the area. I did submit my Lance before doing anything this morning, got my Lance approval. And in the particular area that I'm in, you're allowed up to 400 feet, but I kept it below 200 feet. We have had, over the past couple of weeks, we've had, you know, some temporary flight restrictions due to fires. And so we've got a lot of low flights sometimes. So I don't set elevations any higher than I need to when I'm putting in my requests. So for the purpose of the class that I was doing, 200 feet and below was perfectly fine. So I'm just fast forwarding through this and me still talking it through. And so I can see the clip where I actually start talking to the camera and talking to the folks who will be watching that video. So we don't need to turn the volume up on that because that'd be weird, me sitting here listening to myself while talking to you. But so we're at a point, 3 minutes in is where I got everything set up. So about 11 minutes of recording time. And that sounds right because I have two flight missions that I flew today. One flight, well, each of them was about 9 minutes, so that'd be 18 minutes. I only did the video on the first one because who wants to sit around and watch 18 minutes of the drone going back and forth on its little flight path? You know, if you like watching paint dry, yes. But in the final video, I'm going to speed up some of that capture so that people can see it quickly. But while we're sitting here talking, I'm taking a look at the drone and getting the drone ready for its flight, and then also monitoring it. Jody is off camera right behind me. So when we do get the drone launched, she is also my eyes for that. We were flying such a small area that we had visual line of sight the whole way around. So that was absolutely awesome. I'm going to go ahead and close that one, and then we'll move over to the iPad version. So when I'm assembling these classes, the unique thing is the iPad doesn't fill an HD screen. So in the new class that I'm doing, what I usually do is I set the iPad window off to the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side, I've actually got a black bar area where I'm chatting away like I am here on this screen that you're watching right now. So when that class comes out, you'll be able to see that. And by the way, for the folks who are on my Patreon channel, you guys are going to get an awesome thing. Well, if you've checked Patreon, you know what I put up yesterday. So with that said, you'll be seeing this class soon, and I'll love to hear your feedback on it. So this particular video was captured on the iPad Mini 4. And so it's me talking through, the setup of this, and I actually walk through several items. So I always check the camera before I do a flight mission for doing 2D or 3D modeling. So I want to make sure that everything's okay with the camera. I want it on autofocus. We're capturing hundreds of images that are being stitched into a model. So I'm not going to do raw or anything. We're coming back with a huge amount of data, and bigger files like raw files or something, I'd probably fill up my micro SD card. So I do go through, and one of the nice things with GroundStation Pro is you get kind of your standard FPV interface that you're used to if you're a DJI pilot. It feels very similar to the Go 4 app to me, and it's pretty easy to work with, and most of the settings and things are very similar to the other apps that DJI has. So I actually, in this recording, I'm talking on screen to the iPhone 8. I'm also talking to the GroundStation Pro setup, and then we'll be synchronizing those things, and I'm walking people through. So as the screens change, I'm telling people, okay, I'm going over to this one now, and I'm going over to that one now. And I guess I decided to go back in and just to double check all my camera settings. So there I go. I realized that I was in RAW mode, and I wanted this in JPEG for doing the 3D modeling. So I made that change, and then I was pretty good to get going. So in this one, since I'm doing two different flight paths, one north-south, one east-west, because I want to get more coverage for that 3D visibility, in GroundStation Pro, unlike other capture applications, they don't let you make a grid pattern. So you can't make that little crosshatch checkerboard pattern. You can only go, in two directions or two other directions. But what you can do is create a copy of the first mission that you do, and you can have that copy going east-west or whichever directions you want it to go. So I made the original Granite Dells mission, and then I made a copy of it just to change the flight path. Let's fast forward through. There it is right there. So that's where you can see I'm just going back and forth. We've got one that's east-west, and we've got one that's north-south. So when talking through this on screen, we actually did the north-south first, and then we did the east-west second. And it still works out the same way as using a map pilot or a drone Harmony or the Pix4D capture app. In the end, those applications, they'll go this way first, and then they'll go this way. What's nice is they automatically can set that grid pattern for you. So that was one of my frustrations with GroundStation Pro. It's not a huge deal killer or anything, but in doing the class, I wanted to point that out to people that it's slightly inconvenient, but you get through it. And just taking a look back on over. All right, so we've got these copied over, and we went through this flight. So as you can see, it's still at 10 minutes because I'm talking about things. And at this point, I always check the drone over, but when I set things down, I guess I must have flipped my mode key on the Mavic 2 Pro controller, because it says, hey, I had it on P mode. Really great, though, that GroundStation Pro actually identifies that and lets you know, hey, you're having a bit of a problem. So because of that, I had a little failure. I just reset. I actually went back in, took a look at the missions, and then we were okay afterward. So I actually talked through a good bit of the flight while we're doing the flight. So as you see now, everything is ready to go. And so then the flight takes off. And right here on screen, if you take a look over here, you can see the little home location icon, the H, and you can see the drone symbol flying south. So in this particular tutorial for my students, we actually watched the drone fly down to its location and start its path. So there we go, it's flying its path. And on the right-hand side here, right off to the right, you can also see the first-person view of, what the camera is photographing. So that's really great. It can give you a good idea, is everything in focus? Are these things working out? So when people see this final tutorial, they're going to see this flight. They're going to hear me talking about what's going on with the flight and, a couple other things. So as I'm moving things along, there we go. So we were in the autofocus mode. So somewhere in there, I made the switch from the map to what we're actually covering. So, this was taking a photo every so many feet. As you can see here, you can see it stopping and stopping. So that's where each shot is taking place. So Ground Station Pro is very helpful because you can watch the map view. You can see exactly where you are in your flight, or you can actually see the shots that you're getting to make sure that you're not getting any blur, because motion blur is going to cause some major problems when you sit down and do your final modeling. So we continue through this like this, and if you're interested in Ground Station Pro, like I said, that class will be coming out very soon, and it will be including this video as well, the final version. But if you're interested in Ground Station Pro, I just want to give you a little background on it. While we're looking at the mission executing, up in the upper right-hand corner, you will see a pause button. Ground Station Pro allows you to pause your flight mission. Let's say you're making a really big flight, 40, 50 acres, and you're trying to fly for some accuracy. You might need multiple batteries, and Ground Station Pro will actually let you pause the mission, fly the drone back to yourself, swap the battery out, and then resume the mission. So it's awesome. Map Pilot does a better job because Map Pilot will actually bring it back for you. Ground Station Pro expects that you're paying attention to your battery level, and that you can make that decision when it's time to bring it home. I just saw that someone, Ray, do you use any ND filters on the drone? Yeah, I do use ND filters for filming here. Even with the fact that we can vary the aperture on the Mavic 2 Pro, which is one of the features that really sold me on the Mavic 2 Pro, was that we had a variable aperture. When you're out in Arizona flying around at noon, it's very difficult to go without a neutral density filter. In the mornings and evenings, I can control for light much better, and then the neutral density filter isn't required as much. But if I'm doing any filming midday, if I'm flying over Watson Lake or flying up in Chino Valley, Arizona, doing some open desert stuff, absolutely, I've got the neutral density filters on. So very helpful. I don't like neutral density filters being used when I'm doing modeling. I like to stay away from that because we're doing still images. The drone can compensate, and we're going to have a really fast shutter speed, which means no room for any kind of motion blur or anything. There, I lost my words for a second. But so for modeling, I usually don't like to have an ND filter on, and it just makes sure that I'm shooting really fast, so I know that the motion blur is not going on. When I throw a neutral density filter on there and then run around flying some of these canyons and things, it might slow things down to a point where we do get that motion blur. So I'm real careful about that. Excuse me for another quick little sip of water here. So at least this one doesn't, this isn't a cloaked bottle. All right. So anyways, so one of those interesting features of Ground Station Pro, I like the fact that they allow you to pause the mission, resume the mission, and the fact that you can swap out batteries. I do have larger client locations which do require multiple batteries, so anything to make it easier on me. And so I continue recording on the iPad, and you can see, all right, there we go. So halfway through that mission so far, seeing that little drone symbol flying over it. And I'll make sure to, just put up on the regular YouTube channel as well the final results of this model for everybody. So if you're not on my Patreon channel, that's okay. I'll put this model up after for you because you might get a kick out of it. The canyons and the rocks are just awesome here. So that's part of why I stayed in Prescott. I've been a rock climber for a very long time. I actually, do cliff climbing, and that's one of the things that helped me here. So as you can see, flying through this, we did all the audio recording. They got to see the screen capture as well. And so that's all going to get incorporated into that new class. And so they're going to see a flight setup. So in the class before I did this flight, I actually did the setup of the flight out of my office. So I sat in here and I walked people through that as well. So let's go ahead and close that QuickTime player. And so later on today, I'm going to be taking these videos, dragging these. If you don't mind, let's go ahead and do it. We'll have a little more fun. Let me just close out Lightroom first because, my iMac's getting older and it's getting slower. And if I have too many applications open, I just sit here and watch the pinwheel of death, just like you see on screen right now. All right, let's make sure we don't have too many other things on, and we don't. So this might be good if you're just starting out in this and you're just starting out with also doing videos, let's say. It's really nice to see how you can actually merge and synchronize multiple files. So if you're on location and you've got someone filming you here and here and here, and you've got a lav mic or a wireless go, you've got all these things to connect back together. I remember when I first started playing with video over a decade ago, synchronizing the audio of my clips manually by hand. Not fun. If you don't match things up exactly right, you look like somebody out of a foreign movie and, doing the voiceover and what you're saying and how your face looks doesn't match up. So, all right, let's Ground Station Pro class, and I need to create a new event here. So once again, the whole reason I'm doing this video, I'm taking you through my actual process. When I get back from somewhere, these are the things I do. So tutorial, this is going to be 4-3- modeling flight. And I'll probably change this name later, but this is good enough for now. It's going to let me know where it is. I'm going to say OK to that. And I didn't put it in the exact right order with the others. Always annoying. I must have spaced that out just wrong. All right. So I'll fix that afterward, and I'll make it conform with the others. I have two other tutorial number 4s in that part of the series. So now I've got my new event set up in Final Cut. I can take these 2 videos over that I filmed today, and I'm just going to drag them right on in. So we've got 2 clips. We've got me getting the iPad mini set up, and if we scroll further on down, we'll see what's going on screen on the iPad mini. So what's really cool here, I've got both clips loaded up. And if I right click here, we can do a new multicam clip. So maybe I had a 3rd camera or a 4th camera over there. We could sync all these, and it does an awesome job syncing. I can't say enough good things about it. I'm sure Adobe's Premiere Pro does the same thing as well. And so it's up to you what you use for your editing platform. But how far this has come in such a short amount of time, God, I must be getting old saying things like that. So I just grabbed that multicam clip, and the clip with me in it, me talking, that's the one that's got the good audio, okay? So that's the audio we're going to pull from after. I'm going to drag this same clip down here and be like, well, that's weird, Rich. You got 2 clips that look exactly the same. Not quite. On the lower clip, I'm going to hit the V key. That just hides things. And on the upper clip, I'm going to hit the 2 button. And so the 2 button is for camera number 2. So if I had a 3rd camera involved in this, that'd be camera number 3, 4th, camera number 4. You get the idea. So that multicam clip contains multiple clips. So you can see right in here where we start synchronizing with Ground Station Pro on the iPad and with me on the iPhone with the wireless setup. So I'm sorry if I sound too excited about this. It's cool. I find this really interesting. I'm going to turn the volume up on this and just let it play for a second. Let's make sure
It's really recording. Okay, it is. Pull up Grand Station Pro.
All right, so do you hear that super weird echo? That's the Ground Station Pro audio file synced up with the Filmic audio file. So it's synced them perfectly. So one of the things, I'm going to turn that on again and see if you guys hear it. I don't know if that came across well. Let me hit.
So I'm recording on the screen and I'm recording on the iPhone.
All right, hopefully you heard that echo. So what I'm going to do now in here is I'm picking the file that belongs to the iPad mini, and I'm just going to right click on that. We're going to detach the audio. So I've now put the audio file down in its own clip, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that audio file. I don't want that echo sound. I don't want to try to merge these two audio files. I want to use the audio file that came off of Filmic Pro using the wireless Go, the Rode Wireless Go setup. So now if I play this, and I don't know how well it's going to pick up for you, but I'll turn the volume all the way up.
This mission is occurring at 175 feet above ground, so we should be good.
All right. So hopefully you heard that. It was probably a little muffled because I've got the microphone going in the wrong direction. But so once I got these two clips synced up, I took the clip with the worst audio, and I can actually hit Control Z, and I can hit Control Z again. And so I just undid my actions, and I can come right back. And what I could do here, I'm going to hit the V key, and I'm going to hide the Filmic recording and the wireless setup recording. We're going to turn this all the way up.
This mission is occurring at 175 feet.
I don't know how well you can hear that.
So we should be good. All right. So now what's our next thing?
So that sounds, if you could hear it, full up front, it was not great to me. It's not a good sounding one. Secondly, if we have any planes fly overhead, while we were doing this, and a couple planes did come through, any planes in the area get picked up when you don't have the mic on the iPad mini. Now, you might say to yourself, well, Rich, why didn't you just put another microphone or something into the iPad mini to do that recording? That's a great question. And remember, I've only got, we don't have the audio jacks anymore for some things, but for the Rode Wireless Go setup, it is using that little Apple cable. So if I plug that into the iPad mini, I can't plug the drone controller into the iPad mini, so it's a choice. So that's why I made the choice to use the iPhone as my second audio recording, because mostly in this tutorial that I'm putting together, I'm not going to be on screen. This is all about what's happening with the app. So normally what I'm really using Filmic for is just to get a better quality audio recording while we're recording the tutorial. So there you go. So a little later, after I've got this stream turned off, I will be sitting down with Final Cut, and I will start editing this to get this and one other video done for the class that's launching. So when the class officially launches this week or next week, what's going to happen is I'm just going to drop these two videos into the section for the lecture series number 4. So I've got 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and I went through and did that with all of them. So right now that class is like 2.5 hours long. I think when I add these additional items in, it's going to be about 3 hours. And as always, if I get enough demand from people, if they want a couple more things dropped into the class, I'll be doing that as well. So that is one of the nice things with Udemy, is that you can update the course over time. So that's a really good thing. All right, let's go ahead and close out of Final Cut Pro for a moment here, because I will come back and do that editing afterward. And yeah, it's still rendering things, but I'm going to tell it to quit because I've got too many other things on anyways. It's going to take too much time. Now let's move along. So while we were there, if you're on location and it's not melting hot yet and you have some opportunities to get some other things done, go ahead and do them. So we have a client. It's called Point of Rocks Campground. They're in Prescott, Arizona. And when I was in my Airstream, I full-timed with them for quite a while. So I always think of that place as home. And we're very happy to work with them. We assisted with the redevelopment of their website and the ongoing maintenance of their website. And one exciting thing to share with you is that in 4 years' time, they've had more than 1 million page views to their website. So they are quite a destination location. And one of the things that I've been wanting to do for them, which we're going to be doing, and let's see here. I'm just going to, there we go. I just wanted to sort out what I shot this morning. So by the way, I mentioned way back in the video, Kino. I use Kino for organizing my video and organizing still images for drone construction flights and drone mapping flights. Now, when it comes to any other types of photography and managing photography, so the pretty stuff, not the utilitarian stuff, but you know, all the shots that are to show off an area or for fun, those are always managed by Lightroom for me. So I've been a Lightroom user since it first came out, and well, it took me a couple of months to become a Lightroom user, but once I found out the power of it, all of my major photography that I've done over the years is organized and managed with Lightroom, and a lot of the editing is done with Lightroom too. So you know, I don't use Photoshop too often except for heavy lifting, and so Kino I use in a similar fashion for video and for those utilitarian still images. So there you go. So after we were all done with the modeling flight, I said to Jody, hey, we got a little more time. It's only 8 a.m. It's not super hot yet. Let's do a couple 360s in the Dells, and then let's do some terrestrial-based 360s of the upper loop of the park. So when I'm done with that series, we'll be, you know, putting a link for Pointer Rock so that people can actually do a 360 virtual tour through their upper loop and their lower loop. They've got two different areas. And they're nestled in these amazing rock formations. So while we were at the location, you can see this. So of course you probably recognize, hey, this is going to be a 360 image. So this was shot with the DJI Mavic 2 Pro using the Go 4 app. So I actually like the Go 4 app for 360s. I like using Litchi too, but if I had to pick between the two, I'm leaning more to the side of the Go app, just because it does some, you know, the automatic stitching that it does is pretty good. I like the fact that it does the little sky fill thing as well. There are other ways to fill, of course. So let's get back out of that one. So the G key. So we actually shot, I'll just arrow through these. We shot a bunch, and these are all unique in different locations. And when I get them into the 360 view, you'll be able to see that. And looks like we got a stitching problem right there, so I'll have to probably go do some cleanup. And then finally, we get into my shadow and Jody's shadow. No, we got back to the truck, we dropped off all the drone equipment, and we swapped out for the 7D, the Nodal Ninja 6, and the tripod for it to go through and do some 360 images throughout the upper loop of the park. So I haven't even started stitching these together. Literally, I came back, I offloaded a couple things, and I said, hey, why not have a little fun with the live stream? So, and by the way, I hope you've enjoyed it and it's not going too long, but I thought, you know, seeing my process, seeing, you know, what goes on afterward, the data collection, and then the data assembly, you know, I think it can be interesting to some people who are starting up their drone businesses and still working out how they're doing everything. So I'm going to hit the tab key here. So we walk through the park, and it is an amazing park. I can't say enough good things about it. Here, let me just grab one of these photos. So these rock cliffs that are behind, so we've got this, here's a campsite here. This is what you can be next to. So you've got this cliff face right here. You got these amazing rock formations. There are paths that go up onto the back side of this so that you can look over Willow Lake. And if you go in a different direction, you can overlook Watson Lake. So there's two little lakes in the area with these gorgeous formations, an absolutely amazing place. And I wanted to put together a really nice 360 virtual tour for them. The one thing that's missing in this that Jody's already complained about at length today was no clouds right now. When you have the cloud contrast in the sky out here, I have never seen skies as beautiful as Arizona skies. So just taking a look over again to make sure I didn't miss any chats or anything, because I keep seeing the concurrent viewers changing. So yeah, we did these shots this morning after we were done with the drone flight. Here, I'll grab another one of these so you can see another direction. We will be fixing our shadows, of course, and that's actually pretty easy since it's down at the bottom of the images. So no big worry there. But going through the park, by the way, we were practicing social distancing. We had our masks with us and stuff. Point of Rocks has been very busy this year. A big part because of the pandemic. They've done some amazing things. Their office is not open to the public, but you can still make reservations with them. You've got enough distancing between other folks in the campground. They've done an incredible job with managing the crisis for their business, because the first month of it was really painful to everyone. So as you can see, we offloaded a bunch of these images for 360 virtual tour. And later on today, Jody will be editing all the stuff off the 7D, and I'm going to be dealing with some of the stuff off of the drone. My first order of business today, though, is to get my last 2 videos together for that new Ground Station Pro class, and then I can play with these things. But I'm going to slide Lightroom Classic out of the way for a moment because I'm just curious. I want to see, since we're all here together, I'm going to go ahead on my Chrome and I'm going to do a new window because I've got a window up so that we can see what's going on YouTube here. But what I want to do here is we're going to go to Kula. So on one of my other videos recently, I mentioned that we decided to go with Kula for our 360s, and we've been pretty satisfied. So I'm going to move this off screen for a moment so you don't see my sign in. Nothing personal. And now I'm just going to drag this back over here because I want to see how well the drone did. So we're going to do upload, and I'm going to do create a tour. And actually, I'm going to add it to an existing tour, one of my test tours that I've been doing. So I'm just going to throw it into my 7D test tour, which is nice and hidden away. And now I'm going to go to Lightroom, and we're going to grab that first one. So we're only grabbing one of these, and it's uploading right now because I'm really curious. Let's see how that came out. So once we finished the tutorial part this morning, we had some fun with the 360s, and we also did some work with the 360s because those will be going to our clients afterward, allowing people to take a tour before they make a reservation. So I'm going to hit post here. And so if you ever want a full-length Kula video, let me know if that's of interest to anybody. You know, I don't know what people, you know, I know that most folks are here for the drone stuff and for some of the tutorials, but if you're interested in any of the other things, let me know, because I would absolutely have some fun doing a full walkthrough on Kula or Theasis. That's another one I really like, or Cloud Piano. You know, every one of these is pretty unique and different. But so here we are. Here's the overall look. I think you can see how the cliffs are here. So this is a smaller cliff face. Behind us there's actually a walking trail. So from Point of Rocks Campground, you can walk right out into the Granite Dells, and you can land yourself on top of some of these amazing rock formations. So there's where the sun was in the sky, and we can see what the DJI Go 4 app did with this. So I could do some kind of editing to deal with that. Overall, it's handled it nicely. By the way, there we are. So Jody is sitting down right there. We're doing that 360 shot. There's the helipad. So Jody likes to stay off screen, by the way. So she's mostly behind the scenes. So really nice zoom in, by the way. So this is with the 7D. This is what I was talking about. I've got the Insta360 One X, and I recently did some testing with the Theta SC2, and really just not the kind of quality of this. There's no pixelation going on the edges. So this comes across really nice in my mind. And, you know, let's do just one more of these. So I'm just pulling up again. I want to find one where the lake is more noticeable. Let's go with this one. We can see Willow off in the distance. So we're going to go ahead and do an upload. We're going to add that to another existing tour. Once again, I'm just using a hidden one. So if you were to go on my Kula, you're not going to find that particular one. And I'm not trying to hide it from anybody. That's just my testing ground. So G, And here we go. I'm dragging one more on over, and now I will minimize that Lightroom screen so I make sure I'm not missing any other chats. And so it's uploading and it's ready. So I haven't post-processed these at all. I haven't fixed anything in them. This is straight out of the Mavic 2 Pro. And there we go, off in the distance. If we zoom in here, you can see Willow Lake. So there's the reflection on Willow Lake. And of course, Granite Mountain. And then of course, these crazy rocks in the Granite Dells. And one more time, I'm just gonna take a quick sip. Sorry for the interruption. Very dry throat today. So yeah, this 360 came out nice. And so see, we did start getting some cloud build, but not the kind of cloud build we really wanted. I'm almost tempted to go back out today. So by the way, on the zoom, facing in almost the opposite direction is Watson Lake. So you see a little bit of that lake right there. Watson Lake is the bigger of the two. It's also one of the more popular ones. And you can also see how these rocks are just forming these lines out here. And by the way, so this is this canyon right here is actually one of the canyons that I used to regularly climb. There's a climb on here, and unfortunately we're in the shadows here because there's a couple of bolts locked in here for top roping or for standard climbing where you're actually clicking in as you go with beaners and other things. So if you don't, climbing words, carabiners. But down at the bottom of this one here, the canyon goes way down and in, so it's actually a little dark. Maybe I can recover some of that. But it's one of my old favorite climbs in there. The climb is called The Perfect Idiot. And it worked very well for me because when you get down into the canyon and you start the climb, you always end up getting your left foot in the same place. It looks like a really good divot to stand up and make your next move. It's a terrible divot. Your shoe always shoots out of it, and then you smash yourself in your left shin every time over and over again. So for the first couple of times that I climbed there with a couple of friends, all of us left skin on this particular one and left a lot of blood. I still have a long-term scar on my left shin from just smashing into that one over and over again. We finally figured out the climb and we stopped abusing ourselves. But then the next year I went back and started hitting my shin again. So it took me a little bit to start remembering. But so this 360 piano really shows off the Dells well. And the bigger part that we were out there for those of you who are coming in late, we were out to do a new video tutorial for one of my new classes. And I wanted to do a 3D model for the demo because I figured students would have a blast with this. So doing the modeling in this place is absolutely incredible. And by the way, so just looking at some of the other rocks in here, just to let you know, that boulder out there is way taller than me. So I'm 5'7", 5'7", and this thing, I'm dwarfed by it when standing next to it. So we often like hiking up this canyon, but this gives you a really, I think, awesome view of what the Granite Dells are all about. And for longtime followers, maybe it gives you a little more feeling of, why do I like this place so much? So there you go. So we've got Willow Lake out there. We had Watson Lake on the other side. And so we accomplished everything we wanted to this morning. So we got that video all set up. So I'll be doing video editing after lunch. It's 11:38, so I'm going to get ready to go have lunch soon. And so I'll be doing the editing first so that I have the 2 videos lined up and ready to go for when the new Udemy class launches. When I'm done with that, I'm going to go through and start clearing through these 360s that I did for Pointer Rocks, because the trails that come up into there actually lead out of their park. So, and the owners actually own a fairly sizable segment of the Granite Dells. And so they're always going to preserve them and keep them as they are. So I really appreciate how much they love the location as much as I do. And so once I'm done clearing through those, I'll start playing with the other 360s that we shot with the 7D, but Jody is going to be doing the majority of the work on that. I'm just going to be playing around with it and doing some testing to see what I like and what I don't like. But she's kind of the 360 assembly person and the 360 shooting person. When it comes to the drones, I'll do those 360s and the mapping and modeling and everything. So it works out well. So in addition to, you know, just seeing where we were today. And by the way, so you can see that trail coming right up here. And this is actually another personal favorite location. This particular boulder right here is another boulder that's way taller than I am. And the drop down into the canyon here is a much bigger drop into the canyon than you'd expect. So I'm zoomed way out, and I'll pull this back way in. So incredible place. If you ever have the opportunity to come here and you haven't been to Prescott, take a chance to visit. I'd say wait a while with everything that's going on in our state with the pandemic. Hold off on the visit for now. And there you go. All right. So thanks for tuning in to a very random live stream. But it just struck me as I was starting to offload things. I said, hey, why not talk to folks about YouTube on, you know, what happens when you get home from the flight? How are you putting the things together? And, you know, in addition to what we were out there for, we ended up doing some additional work that will go toward our clients. And we'd already showed them a couple other demos of similar things. So they're pretty excited about it because we're going to show off all parts of the park so that people who are virtually visiting can check out all the sites. So they've already photographed all the individual sites. We'll be linking to all of those sites through the 360 virtual tour. So it's going to give people a real flavor of the park. You know, before they ever come out and visit it, they know what they're going to be getting. It's still awe-inspiring when you see it yourself too. So everybody who's popped in and out today and hung with me the whole time, I want to say thanks for stopping by and hanging out. I always appreciate it. Be sure to go down below, like and subscribe. And if you are getting a lot out of the channel and you want to help support the channel, of course, we do have a Patreon account. It's patreon.com/RichSharpentier. Also, the video tutorials and classes that I do through Udemy help support this channel as well. And the newest one coming out is going to be about Ground Station Pro, which is a fantastic autonomous flight app, but it's an iPad-only app. So I know it's going to be a really small audience. So I don't know how many people are actually going to sign up for that class because that's a super small audience. That's really specific and really niche. Well, all right, everyone. You'll probably see another quick video come up this week to show off that final 3D model. Since I've taken you along today with me, I'll make sure to get that 3D model done so that you can take a look at the cool canyon areas and the cool rocks and everything. I hope I hope everyone's had fun with this. I'm really enjoying, you know, doing the live streams lately is something different. I like working without a net. And yeah, sometimes I pause for a moment, but that's okay. We're all human, and you know, as you're doing things like this, you're bound to mess up words here and there. It's going to happen. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this particular window out, and we're going to wrap this up so that we can go have some lunch. 11:42 a.m. here, and I know you guys have some other, you know, different time zones. Tyler, thanks for the presentation. Glad I caught the message you were on. Well, that's awesome, Tyler, and thanks for stopping in. This was a totally random one. Like I've said to everyone before, the Monday live streams are not random. They're at 8 a.m. Pacific time. But sometimes when I come back, if I'm pretty enthused about what we were doing, and I had a great time today, by the way. I love being out in the rocks. It's a total mood changer. Because this week's been a little strange, but taking a walk out into the dells, getting some flying in, getting some photography in, what else can you ask for, right? Have fun with what you like to do. So thanks, everyone. Will you be thinking of doing a PC or Android equivalent? Yeah, Ray. So I've been doing a lot of work with for the PC side and the Android side. We've got Drone Harmony, and over on the Patreon channel, I've talked about this, but I've actually done some work with the folks at Drone Harmony as well, and I'm helping them with their own tutorial series. They don't sponsor this channel or anything, nothing like that. And they said to me, hey, you can keep doing your other tutorials as well, but we'd like to work with you, which was great from them. So I've been working with Drone Harmony. They've got several video tutorials up already on their website that I did for them. And we've got a new series coming out for them soon. They're just working out some very new and exciting features. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not allowed to say anything else about it. But when those new features come out, I'm going to be telling people about it. So absolutely, if you're looking in the Android world Drone Harmony is worth a look. They do have a free trial as well. I would suggest, Ray, pop over to their website, check out the tutorials that we've done so far. And, if you need, drop me a line. I'm always open to having people ask questions. So you can drop me a line either at azdrone.net in my contact form or, down in the comments, whatever. But yeah, so we will be talking more Drone Harmony. And Drone Harmony's feature set and Ground Stations Pro's feature set is pretty close together. And Drone Harmony is specifically an Android application at the moment. So there you go. We've got Android, Drone Harmony. We've got Ground Station Pro is iPad. So it's strange. I love all these groups to get together and just build that super complete flight application for all of us. And not only for DJI, but all the other drone manufacturers out there, because I would like to own some other drones. I'm interested in the Autel. I'm very curious about the Skydio X2 that they just recently announced. It actually sounds like something that would be useful in my business. But then we always come to, well, what are the applications written for? And most app developers are writing for DJI. All right, everyone, have an awesome afternoon. I'm super hungry, so I'll see you again really soon. And stay tuned. Watch out this week for the for that final 3D model. I will have that up this week because I want to see it too. I get overexcited offloading stuff, but at least I'm having fun, right? All right, everyone, have a great middle of the week here on Wednesday, and we'll see you again really soon. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it.